Most of you know that I like to do a video on a holiday earlier in the day, just to give you something to listen to if you're traveling. Happy Labor Day if you're in the United States. Happy normal day, wherever else you are. Good to see you, Janice. Welcome everybody that's listening on the podcast. You see my title? 5 reasons to feel good about today. And really, it's 5 reasons to feel good about the month of September. What a different feeling today than it was a month ago in August. You remember a month ago, Afghanistan hadn't happened yet. And there was pretty strong sourcing that Joe Biden was really going to go hard, do everything in his power to lock the country down as best he could. And we prayed against it. But that article came out of ABC News that they were discussing restricting interstate travel or making interstate travel dependent upon vaccination status. So there was a bad feeling in the air a month ago. But after the botched Afghanistan withdrawal, Biden's poll numbers went through the floor. Now you have calls on him to resign. You have calls on him, Kamala Harris and Nancy Pelosi, to all resign, which the chances of that happening are slim. But the bottom line is that kicked the legs out from under Biden politically. He doesn't have the power to push for anything. And so there's the exact opposite feeling today. You should feel good. September, if you haven't seen it, you can go on my YouTube channel, Jonathan Shuttlesworth, and I gave some guidance that I felt for the month of September, which was all good, and I gave the reasons why. And I feel like we're seeing it come to pass before we're even a week into September. Good to see you, Fred. I don't know if you saw the college. By the way, I'm going to do Check the News tonight. So I'll see you at 10 o'clock on Check the News and show you the footage I'm talking about. But I don't know if you saw the college football opening day. That was something else to see, because it shows you that the young crowd, which was the most, which was buying into the messaging from the CDC and Fauci the most, they don't care. You had 100,000 people in a stadium. In one of the shots, they all have their arms around each other, waving back and forth, singing at the top of their lungs. I can't speak. Canada's not out of the woods yet. The UK is not out of the woods. There's talking about a vaccine passport there. I saw Australia is in bad shape. But as far as America goes, this thing's over. I took my family to the beach in New Jersey, which was probably one of the 5 harshest lockdown states. I would say number one, the boardwalk was packed. People walking. People were not standing 6 feet apart in line to buy French fries or lobster rolls or whatever they were getting. There was just none of that fear like someone's going to snap at you. That was all gone. And I would say in a day where you would pass like probably 30,000 people in the course of the day, you probably saw less than 50 masks, maybe less than 30. It was great. Indoor dining, full capacity. I didn't know how it would be. I hadn't been to New Jersey since before the lockdown stuff lifted, and I hesitated to go here. I went inside a casino to go get something to eat, and there was a sign when you walked in the one casino. It didn't say, if you haven't been vaccinated, please wear a mask. It just had a big sign that said, this casino no longer requires its guests to wear masks. That's all it said. So it was just great. My waiter, is an Italian guy, which they do this a lot anyway, but he gave me a hug he fist bumped me on the way in and then did that handshake, pull you into a hug on the way out. I don't, maybe I could be misreading things, but I don't think I am. I don't think you're going to be able to lock the country. In fact, I retract everything I just said. I'm not misreading it. You're not going to be able to lock the country down again. And there's a lot of reasons. I'm not just going by my feeling from the beach, but it's not happening. In the other countries, they never gave everybody their full freedom. They gave them like limited privileges and then locked down again. America opened wide up, you know? I don't think you can do that and allow people to live like that for 3 months and then tell them they can't, plus legally they can't. And that brings me to my next reason to feel good, which is I'll give you an example of something negative that happened and then how quickly it flipped. My daughter's school was not going to make the kids wear masks. And then the governor changed his stance, Tom Wolf, and said that they were going to have to, he mandated masks for all daycares and schools, private and public, which my daughter goes to a private school. So that irritated me. In less than 20 minutes after he made the announcement, a Republican state senator, I think he might be a state rep, Doug Mastriano, along with another lady, drafted a bill that any student would be able to opt out if their parents could opt any student out for any reason. All you had to do was sign a waiver. So once that got drafted, our school contacted us that the school has a form that though they're mandating masks, any parent can opt out. And you just fill out a form and sign your name. You don't have to your kid doesn't have to have leukemia or whatever. You can just opt out. When you hear people say they're going to lock us down again. When you hear an American talk like that, number one, you can be about 80% sure you're listening to somebody from California or New York, because they just have a dystopian view, and I don't blame them for where they live, because they had it harder. Hawaii has like a totalitarian type government they're going to have to fight. But in America, the governors lost their power. You know, like our governor in Pennsylvania, he can declare an emergency order for 21 days, and then it has to be ratified by the legislature. They don't have the power. It's like the globalists found a back door into the United States through health emergencies, but then it got challenged legally and got, it's almost like that back door has been bolted shut now. They don't have that kind of power because people challenge things. Churches challenge things. If a governor tried to lock churches down again, you wouldn't even, you could do whatever you wanted. You wouldn't even have to hire a lawyer. The case precedent is less than a year old. It all went to the Supreme Court. The government lost every time. So that's over. What did I say? 5 reasons to feel good about today. All right. How about the Texas abortion law? That you now have the first state. I don't think it'll be the last state, because somebody always has to set the precedent, and then the weaker states follow. But Texas banned abortion after 6 weeks, which I've talked to my wife and Magalis, so that they're not doctors, but they have had babies. And when do you find out you're pregnant? It's like at the 6-week mark, right? So they effectively outlawed abortion in Texas, which brings every demon out of the woodwork. It's amazing. If you saw in my Twitter feed, I retweeted the Church of Satan that said they're going to help fight to restore abortion rights. Maybe if your stance on abortion is the same as Satan, it's time for some self-evaluation. Thomas Sowell had a great quote. I'm going to read it to you. The pro-choice will scream about kids being separated at the border, but celebrate with cheers that children can be separated in pieces from their mother. Listen to that. The pro-choice will scream about kids being separated at the border, but celebrate with cheers that children can be separated in pieces from their mothers. That's horrifying and true. So you have the Texas abortion law, which is amazing, that you now have a state where abortion is effectively illegal. And you have a Supreme Court that would uphold it probably 5-4. I mean, even though John Roberts went in as a pro-life justice, it would be hard to believe he wouldn't flip on that too. Now, let's talk about, I told you on YouTube that I felt like September would be, what word did I use? Unraveling. Would be the unraveling of the push for vaccines in America and the vaccine passport. And I'm going to tell you one thing that's come out that I believe is going to make that prediction come to pass, which is, it's called monoclonal antibody treatment, which is FDA approved. It's the treatment that Ron DeSantis in Florida has been huge on. So basically, as of right now, if you get COVID, they just tell you to go home and rest. And then if it gets bad, they put you in the ICU, which, as far as, I'm no doctor, but as far as logical reasoning goes, that's like the stupidest, hey, you have something that could potentially be life-threatening, go home and lay down for a while, and hopefully it won't be. And then if it is, come in and we'll put you on a ventilator, which helps a little, but usually is the beginning of the end. That's the plan right now. Well, monoclonal antibody treatment is a treatment, which they don't have right now. Everything is just about vaccine. And of course, anything that gets represented as a treatment gets shot down. Hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, anything that's not the vaccine that they tell you, take this when you first get it, it'll help. You're not allowed to talk about stuff like that. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say like what I said right now without getting taken off. Do you know why? Because in order to have an emergency use authorization for a vaccine, there can't be any proven therapeutic. So a therapeutic is something you can take. So that's why, now you understand why anytime somebody brought that stuff up, it got shot down. Well, for some reason, monoclonal antibody treatment is approved by the FDA. So you are allowed to talk about that. And the studies are beginning to show, and I'm talking mainstream studies now, that in fact, where I read about monoclonal antibody treatment was on the FDA website. And the FDA website said it like this: though it still doesn't offer though vaccines still offer the best protection, monoclonal antibody treatment has been shown to keep severe symptoms from developing and to keep you from needing hospitalization. That's on the FDA website. Well, now you have a third choice. Before it was either vaccines or you have to fight to get ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, which all the people on the left are going to rail you about, that you're taking stuff that's, that Trump mentioned. Well, now you have a mainstream treatment that really that makes it where you don't need the vaccine. And studies are beginning to show that it is offering better protection than the vaccine. The vaccine's efficacy is waning. That's why booster shots are required. The monoclonal antibodies are, your body doesn't have necessarily the antibodies to fight SARS-CoV-2. So they made the antibodies in a lab and injected into your bloodstream, which gives you the ability to ward it off. That's huge. Between the waning effectiveness of the vaccines and the strength of monoclonal antibody treatment, and the fact that people getting vaccinated has pretty much completely stalled out in South Africa, I don't see how they're going to be able to push this for the rest of the month. And then, as you know, I am an extremist faith preacher. I believe in prayer for the sick. But I want to tell you, if you do get COVID, you have an option more than sit home and hope it goes away. Monoclonal antibody treatment. Remember that. You might have to insist on it, but get it. Has to be within the first 10 days of when you started showing symptoms. That can't be good for the push to get everybody vaccinated. All right, speaking of which, how many of you, by show of emoji hand, saw the Joe Rogan video? Joe Rogan, who has the #1 podcast in the country. Anytime he does a podcast, it gets several million listens. If he does an Instagram video, it gets a million views. Any video he does is in the millions. Well, guess what? He's been a vocal opponent of the vaccine. And guess what he tested positive for? COVID. So he does a video. I tested positive for COVID. I wasn't feeling good. And then we hit it with everything we could. Ivermectin, vitamin shots, prednisone. And he named like everything they don't want you thinking helps COVID. And he said, I was a lot better in day 2, and I was all the way better in day 3. Well, that had to get addressed on CNN, but guess what? They don't have the viewers Joe Rogan has. Now they're all on the defensive, trying to, calling ivermectin a horse dewormer, which most of you know. Ivermectin's been approved for, there is ivermectin for horses, but then there's ivermectin for people too. You got to give them credit. They ran a smoke screen for 18 months, but it's falling apart now. You were only going to be able to keep the truth from the people for so long. And I told you on August 31st and September 1st on YouTube, I felt like the whole thing would unravel in the month of September. But I got to tell you, I didn't think it would be this quick. That in a handful of days, they're in major trouble. I mean, they're not going to be able to keep pushing this. So, we'll see what else happens. There's no doubt in my mind that their plan has failed in America. They gave everybody some freedom in summer. If you read the Rockefeller papers, that's what they're going to do. Give you some freedom, then lock you back down, and do it in cycles. They couldn't even keep everybody inside last summer because summer people go out. But the plan was to do it in the fall, but they blew that. Their plan has failed. You should have an expectation today that something good's going to happen to you. Stop focusing on, they said they're going to require vaccines to go to an amusement park. Then don't go to that amusement park. Quit focusing on the one restaurant requiring vaccines. The bottom line is that plane crashed. It got off the ground for a little bit and it crashed, and America is wide open, and it's going to stay wide open. I'm going to do CTN tonight. If you're in the greater Pittsburgh area, Western Pennsylvania, West Virginia, or Ohio, I'm going to preach in Wellsburg, West Virginia, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, twice Sunday. Those are going to be miracle meetings. I would strongly encourage you to do whatever you can to get there. All the information is on revivaltoday.com. Finally, if you don't know, I want to see who watches this that I don't get on the other stuff. So, we feed 1,200 kids a day, and we're building a church in Pittsburgh. If you give anything today to help us with those things, many of you have heard me reference my Uncle Ted, who is a prophet. He's coming out with a book on the gifts of the Spirit. And it is going to be an excellent book because, it's not something he's studied on only. It's something he's operated in for 45 years. So I talked to Teddy on the weekend, and Teddy said he couldn't talk to me because he needed to finish that book. So that book's been in the works for like 18 months, but it's getting sent to the printer now. I'm going to send a book to you off the first run of books. I'm getting one of the first books for everyone who gives today, any amount, as a way of saying thank you. If you're on Facebook, #donate. The easiest way is just to go to revivaltoday.com and click Give Now. Revivaltoday.com and click Give Now. Revivaltoday.com and you click Give Now. That has all the ways to give. Cash App is $RT Give. But everything's on revivaltoday.com and you click Give Now. After you give, do a second thing. Go to revivaltoday.com and click Claim My Offer. Fill out your name and fill out the form, because that ensures I have your information to mail you the book. Because not all the ways that you give collect the information. I pray that you have a phenomenal, hey Pastor Bobby, I pray that you have a phenomenal Labor Day. Enjoy the time with your family. If you don't have a family, enjoy the time alone. Being alone is great. A lot of people that are with their families today are going to wish they were alone at about 3 p.m. So, enjoy it. I will see you tonight on Check the News. Don't miss it. 10 p.m. New York City time. I really love you. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, everybody. Good to see you, Pastor Matt. Love you all. Hope you enjoyed today. Share the broadcast. God bless you.